Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and this is Our Stories, Life with an STD, episode 6.
Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can never.
Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and yes, having me is a big flex. I am the founder of Herpes Can Never Growing, the largest herpes awareness platform of over 280K, because I inspire people to love themselves more. The mission at Herpes Can Never is to make everyone feel uncomfortable and to be at war with the herpes stigma until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. Welcome. This is Our Stories, Life with an STD, episode 6. And I'm so excited to have the beautiful Alma here. She is growing a little platform of herself on TikTok. Please introduce yourself, queen.
So my name is Alma. I am 20 years old and I have a platform on TikTok where I talk about herpes and how to learn to live with it and not be ashamed of your status. And I guess my goal is to just educate people on why it's okay to have herpes and it's not something to be upset about or ashamed of.
Okay. So you found out you're 20. I found out I had herpes when I was 25 years old. So how old were you when you found out you had herpes?
I was 19.
19. Oh, wow. You're new into this and yet you're so comfortable. Good for you, first of all.
Thank you.
How did you feel when you first found out? Did you feel the weight of the stigma? What was the stigma for you?
So I definitely felt really ashamed. Like, I didn't tell my parents until like a month after I found out. I was really ashamed about it. I had actually went back to school that year and I remember not really wanting to do anything. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to, hang out with my friends because I felt I couldn't believe that I'd let myself get something like that. And it made me feel really I felt dirty. Like I felt like I had messed up my life, And that's a feeling. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss? But
I can believe it.
Sorry. But yeah, it's just it was a really tough feeling. And I dealt with so much depression and anxiety, specifically anxiety, because for some reason I just thought that everybody around me knew that I had it. So it was just a lot of paranoia and just guilt.
Yeah. I like to tell my clients this all the time, that when we find out we have herpes, literally the only two people that know is us and the person telling us, and yet we feel the weight of the stigma. And it's actually us putting the stigma on ourselves. So the moment that we leave that room after finding out we have herpes, we're looking for everything in life to prove us right. And we make the stigma our narrative when we do that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. What type of herpes do you have? HSV1, HSV2? Where? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, I have HSV2, so that's genital herpes. So I don't get cold sores on my lip. Okay. I get other cold sores.
Yeah. You get cold sores on the bottom lips. That's what I like. Yeah. Okay, all right. So how did you get so within a year? Usually it takes us a long time. It took me 2 years to even acknowledge the fact that I had herpes. And then after the 2 years, I started my self-love journey in 2017. And it wasn't up until 2020 when I actually started talking about herpes. And I found out I had herpes in 2015.
Oh, wow.
6 years ago. So what was your process in breaking the stigma for yourself in your own life to the point that you're now on TikTok advocating and spreading awareness about it?
So it took me a minute too. It took me about a year because I actually found out in 2019. So I had just turned 19 when I found out. I'm about to be 21. So it took about a year for me to really be comfortable with it. But I guess I was just kind of like, we have one life. Like, this is so, like, when you think about it, this is so minuscule compared to everything else that goes on. And I like to laugh. I like to laugh at myself. I like to laugh at, things that I've been through. And I just thought, like, why not like make herpes videos while adding comedy? And that's what I started doing. And I don't know. I feel like you should be able to laugh at yourself. And to me, this is a situation where let's make some jokes, let's not make the conversation so like robotic and serious, because it's like we're still people at the end of the day, let's laugh at ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. And I 100% agree with you. That's my whole approach when it comes to fighting the stigma is I want to provide content that makes the community feel comfortable, but makes everyone else feel uncomfortable. And I've been very successful at doing that because I feel like it's a better way to get the point across.
Yeah.
And then two, it's so many cringe-worthy jokes when it comes to herpes. When we see it in media or movies and music, it's always stabs against the herpes community, but we never really hear about the people living with the STD, and we're majority of the population, people living with herpes, just to be honest. And the fact that sex is so prevalent in the industry and we talk about sex so fluently, why don't we talk about the people living with STDs? It's kind of like taboo. It's like, where are they? Do they not exist? No, they do exist. It's just that no one's talking about it and people are uncomfortable. And when you do open that conversation up, we can talk about safe sex. We can talk about how sex is viewed in the media. I mean, people promote unprotected sex and irresponsible sex all the time, yet they never talk about what happens afterwards besides pregnancy. So what advice would you give someone trying to break the stigma in their own life right now?
My best advice would be to take it easy on yourself. Like, don't be so hard on yourself because, like you said, the majority of the population has this. There's a bunch of different strains of herpes that don't even present as cold sores. So it's like, don't be so hard on yourself and realize that, you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for this to happen. And just, it's okay. I'm sorry. That's so that's what I mean. I'm like, it really don't beat yourself up over this. Like STIs, as much as so many people are having sex, it's bound to happen. Like, I think it's like 1 in 4 people get an STI before they turn 25. Like, yeah, like, see, that's even lower. Like, so many people get an STI. Like, you're definitely not alone. And you can still live life. You may have to live life a little differently now, but you can still, enjoy the things that you used to before you found out. So don't be sad.
I do have one more question. How has your dating life been? How has disclosing and sharing it and actually having successful disclosures, how has that been in your life? Or what is your opinion when it comes to disclosure, period?
So I feel like, personally, when it comes to dating, you should be dating now. I don't feel like you should be like, if you were having a lot of sex before having herpes, I don't feel like you should still be doing that. And if you are, be safe. But I feel like when it comes to disclosing, you don't have to tell them like right when you guys like exchange numbers, or you don't have to tell them that right away. I feel like after like the first second date, you okay?
Oops. Sorry.
But yeah, I feel like after like the first or second date, you know, let them know. Like, obviously don't wait until it's like 4 months in. Like, please don't do that. But like, feel like after like the first or second date, yeah, let them know like, hey, I need to tell you something. I have herpes or whatever STI that you have, and explain to them what it is and say, you know, is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Still on a date?
I created a herpes disclosure. I'm searching for a word and it's like completely left my mind. Anyway, it's called Put Your Pussy on the Table. And pussy is an acronym.
Yeah.
P stands for positivity. U stands for understanding. S stands for set the tone. The second S is the sex talk. And Y is your story. I started off with positivity because I feel like acceptance is key when it comes to disclosure. Yeah. People need to understand that rejection is going to come whether you accept your herpes or not, but who you're accepted by will change whether you accept your herpes or not. When we move into a disclosure, not fully embracing our herpes, we will attract people like narcissists and manipulators, people who benefit off of the fact that we lack in self-love and we haven't accepted ourselves 100%.
Yeah.
And we go into this toxic relationship where we feel stuck, and people can really manipulate us into staying into the relationship because we feel like no one will want us with herpes. Yeah. Versus when I move into a disclosure situation, accepting, fully embodying my herpes and who I am, I will be rejected by the narcissists and manipulators because they're not attracted to people who love themselves. They're not attracted to people who show strength. And I will be accepted by the right people in my life. So I really hone in on the P and put the pussy on the table because it's so important that you do accept your status before moving into disclosure. If anyone's listening into this and you're interested in that, I will put the link to that disclosure in the description box. One last question, Alma, before we leave here. Since being public about your herpes, how has your life changed?
I definitely feel a lot better. I feel like I actually wake up and I'm like happy because I know that like I'm helping people out there like accept themselves. And that's always been really important to me in general. Just like we have to love ourselves because like we're all we have, honestly. Like we're the only person we really have. So we need to, you know, learn to love ourselves. And it really makes me happy that I can help people to, you know, live with herpes and to accept themselves, even though they have it, because that's important, you know?
It's super important. Me personally, it's been fulfilling.
Yeah.
I love. Yes, the hate is there, but the love is so much that you don't really care about the hate. It cleared out my throat chakra because I was already preaching self-love and confidence before talking about herpes. But yet herpes was sitting on my shoulder like that. Like, girl, you need to talk about this. It's a whole community of women that need you. So just being able to know that and know that my story can help someone I've never even met before or save a life that I've never even met before, I think that within itself is success. There's this line Rick Ross said years ago, and he was like, determined to be the best, not looking back at regrets. How many people you bless is how you measure success. And I live by that now. I firmly live by that. I feel like as much good you put into the universe will give it back to you. And as long as you're helping people and putting good into the world, that your life will be blessed and filled with abundance. So, Alma, again, thank you, Queen, so much for sharing your story and taking the time out of your life just to do this for us in the community. Is there any last words you would like to leave off with?
Thank you for having me. You know, I had been following your page for a while, and you kind of inspired me to speak up, because I was like, there's a whole group of people that like need women to talk about this. So
yes, we out here, we family, we cousins now.
yeah.
Herpes could never. Listen. Anyone listening in, please like, subscribe, share. Support is free, and I definitely need your support. If you want to know more about Alma, I will put her information in the description box below. Go ahead and follow her on TikTok, follow her on all her social media platforms, and just remember that herpes could never.